Five, four, three, two, one.
I'm from a place where the girls are always looking pretty. You might have heard of us, we call it Shy City. We build champions here who define gritty. We don't do excuses, we don't do pity. Rose is coming back stronger, that's a guarantee. Cutler's coming back too, he's beastly. Throwing it to Marshall, the title's ours easily. Black Hawks are winning titles, trophy looking massive. Don't forget about the Cubs, Sox, Crosstown Classic. With so much greatness, we gotta show bravado. You got your boys Ambro and Mike Mercado.
Hello boys and girls, this is the Chicago Beat. I'm WICB Chicago. I am Mike Mercado, and what a surprise, it's another beautiful day here in the city of Chicago. It is Tuesday, June 26, 2012, and if you want to follow the show, we're everywhere in the universe. If you have a Twitter account, we're at mmercado2333. Facebook /Mike Mercado 2333 or on YouTube /Mike Mercado 2333 if you can't get enough of us and want to watch us some more. And of course, the big story here in the city of Chicago, Kevin Youkilis made his debut last night, but the White Sox fall to the Minnesota Twins.
Oh, what are you doing? He threw him out of the ballgame. You gotta be vaping me. What in the hell are you doing?
And the Chicago Cubs beat the New York Mets after news finding that the savior, the brainchild of Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer, the ace in the hole of Anthony Rizzo, first baseman, is coming up to the big leagues for the Chicago Cubs.
Glenn, what a lucky break! The good Lord wants the Cubs to win!
Now that's where we're going to get started. Yesterday on the show, we were talking already that all this hype is coming to this kid. First of all, let's get one thing straight. He's always dominated AAA in the minor league system. But in San Diego, he batted, $150? Baseball is all about at-bats and how many pitches you see and what adjustments you make. There is such a thing as 4A players. Guys who are better than AAA but not good enough to make it in the big leagues. And as a Cub fan, I have lived through a lot of these guys. Just to name off a few: Felix P.A., Corey Patterson, Bobby Hill, Hee-Sop Choi. Some of these guys sound familiar? How about Mark Pryor? Yeah, there's a few of them coming up, right? That's what worries me about when people want to put these labels on kids this early in their careers, especially in baseball where it's a sport built off failure. You're an all-star if you fail 7 out of 10 times. Just keep that in mind when you're talking about a 22-year-old first baseman at Wrigley Field, off a team that has only won 25 games, and it is June 26th. And there still hasn't been a move yet to be made. Ryan Dempster's still in the club. Matt Garza's still in the club. You don't know who's coming, who's going, where exactly are they going. This is the reason they're so excited towards this. This is the first piece that we're actually seeing of the new regime and their players. But since there's only one, and Jackson's still in the minor leagues, you still don't have any of the guys that will be part of the team in 2 or 3 years when this team will be viable for even thinking about being in the playoffs. So there's still a couple of things missing off of this. Now they play again tonight at Wrigley Field against the Mets. The thought originally was they didn't want him going against Johan Santana. But now the release is he's up here to get at bats. Righties, lefties, day, night, it doesn't matter. He's playing. And he's supposed to have a really good glove out at first base. So there is some optimism. But he can't be blinded. And he can't have overhype, because that's exactly what these players do not need, especially so early in a town that already has unrealistic goals for a team that's only won 25 games. Now on the South side, a move that was needed to be made for both teams, for the Red Sox and the White Sox, Kevin Youkilis going 1 for 4 in a loss to the Minnesota Twins. That's not the story though. The story is this team needs pitching. Bill Humber, John Danks, you could go on. They don't have the pitching. Hitting comes and goes in this league. And we're seeing it especially this year where there's been how many one-hitters and no-hitters in perfect games? Hitting comes and goes in Major League Baseball. That is just part of the beast. It's all about the consistent pitching that you get. And other than Jake Peavy and Chris Sale, you haven't gotten it. That's where the real problem comes in. That's why I wouldn't have, as bad as you were getting at third base and as least production as you were getting from Cabrera, you could have made that same move and trying to have gotten somebody, for example, as a Matt Garza or Ryan Dempster. Not those players in particular, but you understand where I'm going with this. Kevin Youkilis is a nice player. Is he the difference between a playoff team and a team that's going to be over 500? I don't know. Still yet to be seen. We'll say one thing about the White Sox. At least it's an interesting summer for you guys, if you're a White Sox fan, because you're in the middle of this. And Detroit has been Jekyll and Hyde, although they won. And we're going to take a quick look here on WICB and the Chicago Beat. Secret producer man just handed me this. The division updates. The White Sox in first place, half-game lead over Cleveland, but only a 2-game lead over Detroit. And you know the minute Detroit figures this out, it's going to be a hard push for the White Sox, because they only have a 2-game lead against a team that hasn't found any rhythm at all. I don't know if there's problems with Jim Leyland. I don't know if there's problems between the players, just the overhype. If They're content where they're at, being paper champions from this offseason. It was a move they needed to make for Kevin Youkilis, but that's not going to solve the problem. The problem is the pitching rotation. It's been like that for a while now. Like we've said, hitting comes and goes. They needed to address pitching. They still need to. There's still some time. I don't know if Kenley Williams thinks he's a buyer or seller, though. And we're going to find out over this next month whether the White Sox, come the end of this month, at the end of July, after All-Star break, if this team is still in first place, yeah, they have to be buyers. But if they're not, it's time to be sellers and start rebuilding. Got to do it now. Do you want to be like the Chicago Cubs and be winning 25 games in the middle of June because you weren't prepared enough and you didn't have a game plan? You're on WICB and the Chicago Beat.
You're listening to WICB with Mike Mercado.
A city that has diehards who know when their teams are bad and know when their teams are good. And yet every single day they go to the stadium.
And that's the Beat.
Hope everybody's having a beautiful afternoon. Thank you for listening. You're on WICB and the Chicago Beat. Don't forget, you can tweet the show at mmercado2333, or you can comment us at Facebook/MikeMercado2333, or if you love us so much, which who wouldn't blame you, you can listen to us again on YouTube/MikeMercado2333, and we're going to get into something that we've waited for a long time, and that's the Bears and Matt Forte. Many people want to argue on one side or the other. That's the problem. That's the biggest problem about this whole situation right now with Matt Forte. So you're feeling like you have to pick a side, whether you're on the Bears side or Matt Forte's side. It's hard for me to do that because it's a league now that is based off wide receivers and quarterbacks. It's a throwing league. That's just what's become, and you've seen it by the teams who have won the Super Bowl. It's just the way the league is going. You can't argue with it. 10, 15 years ago, yeah, it was a running back league. And that you couldn't argue with it. But we're seeing now that points on the board is what people are looking for. And that's where the money's at. So Matt Forte looking for as much money as he is, it's just not going to happen. Now, right now, off the top of my list, I don't have any paper right here. Secret producer man and myself did not plan this before here. I'm just going to name off running backs that are better than him already. Ray Rice, Maurice Jones-Drew, Chris Johnson, Adrian Peterson, Arian Foster, Darren McFadden, and then maybe Matt Forte. Just to show you, that's where I would put him at. Did you find is there anything wrong with my list? I don't think so. So is he worth a holdout? Is he worth the drama? I don't think so. He's a very good running back, absolutely. But when you're the only focal point of the offense and you putting up these type of numbers, and you want Adrian Peterson, Arian Foster, Chris Johnson money, I'm sorry, those guys are game changers. And not just game changers, they're position changers. They make the position relevant. Matt Forte doesn't do that. The Bears have Michael Bush as their backup. Many can argue that's just as good as having Matt Forte. And I don't want to diminish what Matt Forte has done because over the last, 4 years, he's been the Bears' focal point of the offense. But is that much to say when he's still not putting up the numbers that he could be putting up? There's running backs who make offensive linemen look good. Again, you could say the same thing. There's offensive linemen who make running backs look good. But I don't think this is a discussion anymore of how much he's worth. It's about getting him in camp. Like Mike Olivert said on the NFL Network, in order to be a Super Bowl team, everybody needs to be on the same side pulling on the tug. Right now, with Matt Forte, it doesn't seem that way. And you're hearing in the interviews with some of these guys. Some guys are saying, I think he should hold out. I think he should try to do what's best for him. I think he'll be in camp. He won't let us down. This is not what a Super Bowl team does. And now you're looking at a team that has Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, Jay Cutler, Gabe Karimi is healthy. The offensive line was working better towards the end of the season. You have Michael Bush as a backup. You have a backup quarterback that's actually a quarterback in this league. Your offense is legit. Your defense is aging, but it's always been a good defense. And this is the problem going into it. And it seems like over the last few years, this has been the problem with the Bears. And now Brian Urlacher's contract is going to be an issue coming up. There's some issues going on with Chicago. I still think there's going to be 3 division teams making it the playoffs in the North. But if you're asking me, do they look like a Super Bowl team, or are they, in my opinion, does it feel like a Super Bowl team? Not if this is the storyline heading into it. The storyline should be, how far could the Bears make it? Not, should Matt Forte be in training camp this year? You're on WICB and the Chicago Beat.
Fade away. Make me step back and kiss myself. MVP time. Windy City Assassin does it again.
Live from WICB Radio.
Inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown. and no flag, 92 yards.
This is
It's a goal, the Stanley Cup to the Chicago Blackhawks.
Chicago's Beat. So some good news for a Chicagoan. Derrick Rose will be on the cover of NBA 2K13, but he will be split covered with the dunk champion, Blake Griffin, and the scoring champion, Kevin Durant. So on one cover you have the former MVP, the former dunk champion, and the former scoring champion, the three faces, or at least young faces, of the NBA. That's really cool. 3 straight years where a Chicago Bull has been on the cover. 2011, 2012, and now 2013. You had Jordan in the first 2 years, one with the white jersey home, and one with the away red jersey. Now you can have Derrick Rose. Very cool. And all this just gets me going. I cannot wait till Halloween, because that time of the year means it's basketball time. You have football in the air coming on this summer. We're in the dog days of summer. Having a struggling baseball team. Football is still a little whiles away. July 25th. July 25th, I believe. Secret producer man will check that up and we'll have it on the website. The Bears go to Bourbonnais, or Bourbonnais, however you want to say it, for training camp. So it's getting exciting. But with a struggling baseball team on the north side, an up and down team, but a first place team on the south side, hearing Derrick Rose's name on an NBA cover is some good news that we needed. For everybody here at WICB Chicago, don't forget you can follow the show at mmercado2333. We're on Facebook /MikeMercado233. And if you love us so much, YouTube /MikeMercado2333. Thank you again to Secret Producer Man for not being such a jerk today and making this show go by pretty easily. Thank you to all of you for listening. You're the reason why we're able to do this. For everybody here at WICB and the Chicago Beat, have a good one.